Well, a very, very happy Monday morning and welcome to the podcast, number one of 2026. Happy New Year, everyone. Coach John Kentera with you once again after a 2 week layoff. I hope everyone had a marvelous holiday. Great Christmas. Hopefully, you got everything you wanted and you had a great new year. And we're hoping San Diego sports have a great 2026. But great to be back with you. We got so much to cover today. And, I always say once it hits January 1st, we start thinking about spring training. Padres still have a lot of work to do, and we're going to get into that. But I want to remind everyone we're doing our podcast as usual Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 a.m. Every once in a while, we pull off a night show. But right now, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m., would like you to subscribe, would like you to like, would like you to share, tell a friend. And if you'd like to help the channel in 2026, if you haven't already become a Gold Glove member, you can today. If you're feeling good about it, $2.99 per month. And we appreciate anything you can bring to the table. It helps defray some of our expenses that we pay out of our pocket. And if you enjoy the show, appreciate if you could sign up for our Gold Glove package. But man, it's great to be back. I got so much to talk about. We got about 60 minutes to do it. Probably won't get to everything, but I'm going to certainly try. We're going to talk about the Padre roster, where they're at, position by position, what guys have signed. Now, they've also signed some guys that haven't been invited to Major League Camp. They haven't announced their non-roster invitees, so I'm not going to get into that. But we'll talk about the bulk of the roster today, some of the guys that they've signed, some of the guys that have re-signed for 2026. We're going to get into a little bit later on talking about the Holiday Bowl. We're going to talk about college basketball, touch on San Diego State, UC San Diego, and USD. And of course, we're going to get out to your questions as well. I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of questions you'd like to ask me after the holiday. Man, I got to tell you, I watched so many bowl games. I mean, I'm a footballaholic this time of year. I mean, it doesn't matter what bowl it is. I'm going to watch as much as I can of it. I love college football. College football is just the cat's meow for me. And got to go to the Holiday Bowl, and I'll talk more about that a little bit later on. I'm excited about the college football playoffs. We got some great matchups in the semifinals coming down the pike to January 19th to the national championship game. But I want to start off today talking about an old friend of ours. And I say an old friend of ours. He was a friend of mine, but he was a friend of yours as well. 12 years ago today, the great Gerald Francis Coleman passed away at the age of 89. Jerry Coleman, our longtime broadcaster from 1972 until his passing in 2014. There's Jerry and I in the press box prior to a ball game one night. Yeah, I'm wearing a tie. I'm wearing a tie. There were a lot of years when I would cover the Padres that I would wear a tie, and in my last few years got a little bit more casual because I used to get beat up, believe it or not. I was doing the pre and post game show, and people, what are you wearing a tie for every night? So I kind of drew back on that, but that was me a lot of the nights at Padre ball games over the years, wearing a tie. And Jerry, a lot of times, would come into the main press box, the big press box, and fill out his scorecard. And I would talk to him every night. And I got so many great stories about Jerry, and I'll share a few of them with you here in a minute. But 12 years ago today, he passed away. And at that point in time, I was on the radio and I was in Tijuana with the San Diego Sockers. That's when I was the vice president of operation and general manager of the Sockers, and we had played the team from Tijuana and got done at about 2 o'clock. And I received a phone call from my good friend Joe Titino. He goes, "Jerry Coleman passed away." I couldn't get back across the border fast enough, and because I didn't have the international phone line on my cell phone, uh, that year. I got back and I had a million messages. I had TV people wanting to come to my house to interview me about Jerry. People from all over the country calling, "Hey, coach, can you come on and talk about Jerry Coleman?" I go, "Yeah, just let me get back to Solana Beach and I'll do whatever you need." So I got back And I can't tell you how devastated I was uh, losing Jerry. Jerry was just an icon and just a great fixture. At times, kind of a comedy act in the press box. I mean, he was so funny. I mean, I could tell you some stories. I can tell you some stories I can't tell you. But man, he was something else. He was an unbelievable man. And not only was he the voice of the Padres from 72 to 2014, for many years he called the game of the week on CBS. Prior to coming to San Diego, he'd been up at LA working at KTLA Channel 5. He did the Angels for a couple of years before he came down to San Diego. But really, when you look at Jerry Coleman, what a man. He lived so many different lives. From a kid that grew up in the Bay Area to signing with the Yankees, serving our country, United States Marine Corps, 1942. And when he got out, he still was a reserve up until 1964. He had the rank of lieutenant colonel, fought 120 combat missions. World War II, he fought 57 combat missions. He was part of the Solomon Island campaign, the Philippines campaign, 1944 and 45. And then he fought in the Korean War. He had 63 combat missions, 12 or two distinguished flying crosses, 13 air medals, and he was the only major league player that saw uh, combat in both World War II and the Korean War. He's the only one. And he was an amazing man. And to hear him, and you had to prod him, to be honest, you had to prod him to talk about the war. He goes, I'm not a hero. The heroes were the ones that didn't come back. He was such a modest man. But I wanted to talk a little bit about his service background. And of course, he played for the New York Yankees from 1949 to 1957. He had a couple of seasons interrupted because of his military service. 6 years in the minors, and then 52 and 53. Those were his seasons that were interrupted by a service in the Korean War. Jerry played from 1949 to 1957. People don't realize what a great player he was. He hit 263 for a career, 16 homers, 217 RBIs. 1949, he hit 275 and was the Associated Press Rookie of the Year, led all the second basemen in fielding percentage. In 1950, he was an AL All-Star, made 6 World Series appearances in 9 seasons and won 4 World Series championships. And then in 2005, he was a recipient of the Ford C. Frick Award. And also that weekend, he was inducted into the Marine Corps Hall of Fame in Quantico, Virginia. So 12 years ago today, we lost the great Jerry Coleman. Amazing man. Amazing man. I'll share a couple of stories with you. First of all, whenever Jerry would see me, he would always say, "You're working too hard. You're working too hard," because he knew I grinded pretty hard. But one year, I got to call a game with him in spring training, and I can't tell you how excited I was. And I was prepared like no other for an exhibition game at Peoria Sports Complex. I don't even remember who the Padres were playing, but I remember I had to fly out on Saturday morning. The game was at Saturday at 1 o'clock. Well, the night before, I had called 3 San Diego CIF basketball games, and the last game went to double overtime. And I'm looking at the clock. I go, man, I got to get home. I got to get some sleep tonight because I'm calling this game with Jerry Coleman tomorrow. I get out of the Viejas Arena. I get home at about midnight. I got to get up at 4. I got a 6 o'clock flight. I get to Sky Harbor Airport in Arizona. I get my rental car and I drive straight to Peoria Sports Complex. And I'm there before Jerry gets there. I'm in there trying to fill out my book, and I'm so excited to work with Jerry Coleman. And it went well. It went great. We worked very well together. I think he liked what I brought to the table, and I couldn't have asked for a better finish. We got an O doctor because the Padres got a base hit down the left field line to bring home the winning run in the bottom of the ninth inning. So finally, the game was over at about 4 o'clock. I was exhausted. I'd called 3 games the night before, had to fly, had to get to Peoria, call the game, and I was so excited. And that's what got me through the game. I had so much adrenaline to call the game with Jerry. And I remember going to a little chicken restaurant right next to the ballpark, and I sat there and I was so relieved that I had gotten through that period of time. And I spent the night and then I flew back on Sunday. But that was just a highlight. That was just one of many with Jerry Coleman. I remember when Jack Buck passed away. It's when we were still at Qualcomm Stadium, and I went to Jerry. I go, "Hey, Jerry, could I interview you? I want to play something on my show tonight regarding Jack Buck." So we went down to one of the empty booths. We did this incredible 10-minute interview with Jerry talking about Jack Buck, and he was just a great man. I used to always say, "Yeah, you room with Mickey Mantle, huh?" He goes, "Well, yes and no." And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, yes, Mickey was in my room, but I actually roomed with his suitcase." Because you know all the stories about Mickey Mantle going out and hanging out and doing a variety of different things. But Jerry was unbelievable. Just an unbelievable man, so funny. And Randy Jones and I, God rest his soul, when we were doing the shows from Lolitas, we would normally leave about the eighth inning. And Jerry'd usually get done in the bottom of the seventh. He'd be done, and he'd be going down the elevator. He'd have his briefcase with him, and we would go down. And some of the conversations, just from the press level down to ground level, that Randy and I and Jerry would have every night, breaking down the game. It was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. But a great man, and wanted to honor him on the day 12 years ago he passed away. Okay, I want to get in to the Padre roster now. And I don't know where our ball club is going to be. I was talking to some people today. I was on KUSI. I'm pretty much a staple on KUSI every Monday at 6:30 a.m. I get up at 4:45 and get all lathered up and go down there, and I'm on at 6:30. Um, but I was talking to some people this morning. They were asking me kind of, what do you think about the Padres for this year? And I go, I really don't know what to think because their roster is not complete. Now, getting Michael King back, I mean, where did that come from? I have no idea how that came about because it looked like he was going to be going to either Boston, New York, or possibly Baltimore, and the Padres end up signing him to a 3-year, $75 million deal. So technically, he could be here until 2028. Now, I'm going to read you his contract, and you tell me if you think he'll be here through the length of that contract. He gets a $12 million signing bonus. And the way that's laid out, 4 million, I did some work for you here. Okay, $4 million will be paid within 30 days of the contract approval. So that ought to be coming up. He gets $4 million on January 15th, 2027, and then he gets another 4 million on January 15th, 2028. This year he will make a $5 million salary. So technically, uh, it looks like probably what, $17 million. Okay, somewhere in the neighborhood of that. Then in 2027, there's a $28 million player option with a $5 million buyout. So if he decided, you know what, I want to go out and test the market again, he opts out and he gets a $5 million buyout. But if you're able to keep him after 2027, I'm pretty sure he's going to stay in 2028. And the reason for it, he would be getting $30 million because it's going to be a player option and there's no buyout. And at that point in time, 30 million is 30 million. I don't know how many teams are going to want to pay a guy that's going to be 33 years of age 30 million or more. So if you can get him this year and next year to buy in, then you probably have him for 2028. Now, the other player that recently signed while we were in our little vacation period is this infielder from the KBO, Sung Moon Song. They signed him to a 4-year deal for 15 million. He gets 2.5 this year in salary, 3.5 in 2027. 2028 is 3.5 if he doesn't opt out, and it'd be 4 million in 2029. And then there's a mutual option in 2030 of 7 million with a $1 million buyout. Now he's also getting a signing bonus. This month he'll get a $500,000 signing bonus, and then next January, the 2027, he'll get 500,000. Now I don't know how good this guy is. He's 29 years of age. His last 2 years have been fantastic. He can play third, he can play second, he can play first. And there's talk that they may stick him in the outfield a little bit. I don't know if they really need to do that. A left-handed bat. And taking a look, he played for the Nexen Heroes and the Kiwoom Heroes. They changed names, obviously. He started when he was 18 years of age. He's 29. Now, there were a couple of years he didn't get a lot of playing time because of a variety of different things. But his last 2 years have been by far his best 2 years. In 2024, he hit 340, 29 doubles, 4 triples, 19 homers, 104 RBIs, and 927 OPS. And last year, he hit 315, 37 doubles, 4 triples, 26 homers, 90 RBIs, and a 917 OPS. I don't know if this guy will make the team. I don't know. But I can tell you this historically, Asian players that have come over that I'm aware of, Ichiro, um, we saw it with Hassan Kim. We see it from time to time. There's an adjustment period to the velocity. Definitely a velocity issue. And even with Otani, remember Otani's first year with the Angels? They took him out of competition, pitching and hitting, because he was struggling. It took him a while. But once he got going, I mean, look at what this guy's become. And I'm not saying that Sung is going to end up being Otani, but you know what? You know the guy's going to play hard. You know he's probably very fundamentally sound. He's a left-hand hitter. The last couple of years, he's actually run. Early in his career, he did not run at all. In the last couple of years, he's stolen over 20 bases each of the past 2 seasons in the KBO. So I'm excited. I like Asian players because they come over here and they're fundamentally sound. They know how to play, and they're going to play hard each and every night. Okay, they don't take nights off. That's not part of their culture. I like Asian players. Okay, it's that simple. I'm excited. I don't know how good he's going to be. He could be a flop, but I'll take my chances. And I'm glad AJ Preller going to give him an opportunity. Okay. Some of the other guys the Padres have re-signed. Kyle Hart, 1-year deal. Gets $1 million this year with a $2 million buyout, a club option in 2027 for $2.5 million. And then they also signed a couple of minor league guys that got good arms, Ty Adcock and Daveson Acosta. Okay. They'll be coming to camp. We'll see if they can do anything in the bullpen. Now, I wanted to go through the roster as of now. And again, no non-roster guys on this. But I will tell you this. Padres are going to be able to have another great bullpen. Okay, even without Robert Suarez, they're going to have a great bullpen. But I'm going to start off with the catching. Right now, it's Freddie Fermin and Luis Camposano. I would imagine Freddie Fermin's going to catch two-thirds of the starts, the best he can. Okay, and there are going to be times where he needs an extra day off or something, but in a 3-game series, I would think he would catch 2 out of 3. Okay, that's me. I'm not Craig Stammen. I'm not AJ Preller. First base, you got Jake Cronenworth, Gavin Sheets, Will Wagner. Okay, and I'm going right off the Padre website on this depth chart. And they got Cronenworth as a first baseman. They also had listed him as the number 1 second baseman. Second baseman, they got Cronenworth, Sung Moon Song, Mason McCoy, and Will Wagner. And there were also talk that Will Wagner, there were some teams asking about Will Wagner. I don't know how good he is. I kind of liked what I saw, but I didn't see a whole lot, especially defensively. He basically was a pinch hitter. But they got him last year, you recall, from Toronto. Third base, you got Manny Machado, his backup right now, Sung Moon Song, and Will Wagner. Shortstop, Xander Bogaerts, Mason McCoy, Jake Cronenworth. Okay, kind of what we saw. We know Mason McCoy is going to play great defense, but he's not going to give you a whole lot offensively. Left field, Ramon Laureano, Gavin Sheets, Bryce Johnson, and Terso Ornelas. Of course, Terso, a left-hand hitter, did not fare well last year in his first and only call-up to the big leagues. Did not swing the bat, had a good year in AAA, and, I'm sure he'll be a lot better coming up a second time if he gets an opportunity. Center field, Jackson Merrill and Bryce Johnson. Okay, not a big surprise. Let's hope Jackson can come back his third year, stay healthy, stay away from sliding head first to where you're going to get a concussion, and hopefully that hamstring stays healthy. And then in right field, you got Fernando Tatis Jr. and Bryce Johnson. The designated hitter, Gavin Sheets. See, I think right now, for me, I think Gavin Sheets is your first baseman as of right now. And he got to do some work defensively. He's not a great defensive player. He's played a lot of outfield, But Gavin Sheets, what he hit 19 home runs last year, had a career year. Got to get him in the lineup. Big power left-hand hitter. Got to get him in the lineup. Unless you're going to go out and sign like a Nathaniel Lowe. I saw last night somebody was saying Padres might sign Nathaniel Lowe. I think Nathaniel Lowe may be on the downside of his career. I mean, he's with Texas last year. He's with Boston, kind of bounced around. I mean, you could maybe bring him in at a bargain basement price, but I don't know if you need him. I think Gavin Sheets is better, at least offensively right now. Gavin Sheets is really kind of in the prime of his career, and he finally got an opportunity last year. So let's give him an opportunity. Let's don't retard his progress and let him have the ground running. Come in, wrap your arms around him, and say, hey, man, you're our designated hitter. And when you're not DHing, you're going to play a little left, you're going to play a little first. I want you to work real hard in spring training on getting better at first base. That's what I would do. I don't think you need to really go out and spend a lot of free agent money on a first baseman unless you're going to go get Eugenio Suarez. You go get Eugenio Suarez, then it's a different story. You might want to bring him back in there. So then we're going to get to the pitching. And let's take a look at the pitching. You got Nick Pivetta, you got Joe Musgrove, you got Michael King. Now, we know Pivetta's coming off a great year, a career year. Got Cy Young votes. Maybe he'll be as good. Maybe he'll be better. Maybe he'll fall back a little bit. Just give me something close to this past year, and I'm fine. Totally fine with that. Joe Musgrove coming off Tommy John. You have to be very careful with Joe. You're going to have an innings restriction on him, even though he won't like that. You got to protect Joe from Joe. And then Michael King only made 15 starts last year. Hopefully, he's able to do something dynamic this year and stay healthy. Randy Vasquez, who got better. And to round out possible guys in the rotation, you got the left-hander J.P. Sears, Kyle Hart, Matt Waldron, and a young guy that they promoted to 3 different levels last year. And I don't think he's going to be ready to make it in the rotation, but a guy by the name of Miguel Mendez, 6'2", 165 pounder. Kind of interesting there. Your bullpen. Now here's the bullpen. This bullpen is ridiculous. Okay. You've got right-hander Mason Miller. You got left-hander Adrian Morahone, who could close the game. You got Jason Adam, who'll be coming back. I don't think he'll be ready for the start of the year with that torn quad muscle. You got Jeremiah Estrada, David Morgan, who pitched lights out last year. Wandy Peralta, hard-throwing right-hander Bradley Rodriguez. You got Yuki Matsui coming back again. And then you got the soft tosser Alec Jacob. You got Ron Marinaccio, who pitched, I thought, very well last year. Brian Hoeing, who spent part of the year in the minors because of getting hurt early in the year. You got a young guy that I don't know a lot about. Big guy, 6'5", 230, Garrett Hawkins. And then you sign Ty Adcock and Dason Acosta, and you're going to get back Johnny Brito. And I would imagine Brito, I don't know if he'll be at 100% early in the year, but at some point in time by midseason, he should be at about 100%. So we'll see about that. But that's what I got for you, Padre-wise, right now. Now let's take a look what you fans have to say. I want to get out to our coaches crew today and get your thoughts on everything that's going on with the Padres. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the Holiday Bowl. And we're going to also talk a little bit about college basketball. So let's get out to coaches crew right now and see what we got. All right, Steve Tejas. Hi, Coach. Oh, Doctor, you can hang a star on that one. Will live on forever. Happy New Year, and Coach, and God bless. Steve, I hope you and the family had a marvelous holiday. And got to remind you, my friend, our class reunion is going to be this coming September. So if you don't get down here before, I'll look forward to seeing you in September. We'll have a 3-day get-together with all of our old buddies. Yeah, Jerry Coleman, that old doctor, and hang a star on that one. That'll go down in the history of Padres forever and ever and ever. And people should never forget Jerry. And they've got, the statue of Jerry there at the ballpark down the right field line. And if you get it out to the ballpark and haven't seen it, make a point to go and read all the things that this man accomplished in his life. But I agree with you, Steve. That is going to be there forever and ever and ever. So good to hear from you, buddy, and hope you had a great holiday. All right, Rome, as a baseball fans in Southern California, we were blessed with Jerry Coleman, Vin Scully, Dick Enberg being the main voices of San Diego, LA, and the Angels. I got to tell you, when I was a kid, obviously I listened to the Padre games. But when the Padres weren't on, I always listened to the Angels. I didn't listen to the Dodgers that much. Okay, I watched Dodger games on KTLA, or not on KTLA. Angels were on KTLA Channel 5. That was their TV station. George Putnam News and Gene Autry, the owner of the Angels, owned KTLA. But KTTV, Channel 11, were the ones that carried the Dodger games. So the way it would work, if the Angels were out of town, I'd listen to the Padre game. Padre game would get over, and then I would tune into the Dodgers. And a lot of times down here, it'd come in kind of snowy. And you'd hear Vin Scully, and he'd give the score of the Padre game. Down in San Diego, the Padres beat the Giants 3-2. And then I'd listen to the end of the Dodger game, or whatever game got over first, and I'd tune to the other game. And then I always listen to the Angels. Dick Enberg was my favorite broadcaster of all time. I got to tell you that. Dick Enberg, and then to meet him and get to know him, fantastic. But listening to him and Don Drysdale do the Angel games, that was amazing. So yeah, we were very lucky to have Jerry, Vin, and Dick Enberg. I mean, seriously, how good were those guys? And everybody did it a little bit different. You know that Dick Enberg actually came to California, and he was an assistant baseball coach at San Fernando State, which is now Cal State Northridge. He came out and he was teaching, but he was the assistant baseball coach at San Fernando State that eventually became CSUN. That's how he got to California from Indiana. Hey, Rome, good stuff right there, buddy. I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. What else we got here? Casey King, good morning, coach, and happy New Year's to you as well. Jerry Coleman was the bomb. Enjoyed listening to him call games. Southern California had some great broadcasters. Absolutely. And, even before Jerry and Dick Enberg and Vin Scully, the Angels had Buddy Blattner, who called the Braves games for many years. I remember he used to do games with Don Wells, who was a real famous radio guy in Los Angeles. And of course, Vin did games with Jerry Doggett and then later on with Ross Porter. Good stuff, man. Really good stuff. Casey, thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right, Charlie, what's the plan for Bradley? Well, I think the plan is to give him an opportunity to pitch. If he goes into camp and wins the job, the Padres, they want him to win a job. And he got a shot. He definitely got a shot, but there are a lot of good pitchers in that bullpen for the Padres. So, you know what? I think he goes to camp. He's got as good a shot as just about anybody else. Morahone and Mason Miller got spots. And Jason Adam, if he's healthy, he's going to have a spot. And David Morgan. I mean, look at the depth of the bullpen of the Padres. You just got to get more innings out of that starting pitching. You can't wear this bullpen out in April, May, and June. You got to have them for the long haul. That's my take. Bradley Rodriguez got a big time arm. If he can throw strikes, get ahead of hitters, there's no reason he can't win a job in this bullpen for the Padres. That's my take, Charlie. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Let's keep them coming today. I would imagine a lot of people out there wanting to know what's going on in the world of sports. We're dialed in pretty good. Rome, Jerry Coleman, one great American and our voice of baseball in San Diego. Now think about this. How blessed are we? We have Jerry Coleman, Ted Leitner, Bob Chandler, and then you get Don Orsillo. Why Boston let him go, I'll never know. But, it ended up working out very well. Mark Grant, good stuff, man. Really good stuff with those play-by-play broadcasters. Mark Grant's he's done play-by-play, but he's not necessarily a play-by-play guy. And then you got Bob Scanlon down on the sidelines. Uh, Scan's really good, and Scan really works hard at it. So look forward to those guys getting back on the air. And of course, you got Jesse Agler, Tony Gwynn Jr. We got some guys that have been around the ballpark a little bit. But Jerry, Ted, and Bob Chandler, in my opinion, and he's not in the Padres Hall of Fame, should be in the Padres Hall of Fame. Okay. Bob Chandler, he did it on TV, did it on radio. work for the organization. Bob Chandler kind of been a forgotten man with the Padre organization, I think. He deserves his day in the sun. He deserves to be in the Padre Hall of Fame. No doubt about it in my mind. That's a kid growing up in San Diego. That's my opinion. If you came after Bob was done broadcasting, you don't know anything about Bob Chandler, but Bob Chandler was a big part of Padre baseball back when Jerry was broadcasting. And, they worked for many years, those two, and then Ted joined the broadcast. And Ted had an incredible career. Ted did it all in this town. Absolutely did it all in this town. Okay, Rome, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, we got to recap the Holiday Bowl. Now, here's the deal on the Holiday Bowl. I'm a big Holiday Bowl guy. And I'll be honest, I was a little concerned. When they moved it to Petco Park, they were supposed to play there a total of 3 years. Remember, UCLA backed out that one year and really screwed everything up. And I'll never forget UCLA for that. Never forgive them for that. I mean, that was Chip Kelly more than anybody else. But I was on my way. I was driving right by the racetrack on Via de la Valle, and a buddy of mine who worked at UCLA at the time goes, "Hey, game's called off." I go, "What do you mean the game's called off?" He goes, "UCLA said they're not playing." And I'm going, "You got to be kidding me." And then my wife calls. She goes, "Hey, the game just got called off." I go, "Yeah, I'm turning around." I came home. I was so irritated. And that game could have been played, but UCLA didn't want to play it. But they played the two games at Petco Park. And you know what? Padres did a great job. Holiday Bowl did a great job. But it just wasn't the atmosphere that you want for the Holiday Bowl. And then a year ago, they have Syracuse play Washington State. Washington State's coach took another job. Bunch of players opted out, and Syracuse came in and beat the hell out of Washington State. Okay, Washington State scored some points late and made it a little bit more respectable. But this year, Mark Neville, Rick Schloss, and the Red Jackets, I salute you. And we have Mark on every year a couple of times, kind of keeping people abreast of what's going on with the Holiday Bowl. It couldn't have worked out better. I'm going to tell you why. There are a lot of reasons why. Number one, I know Arizona had some players opt out the day of, and we could get into that and have an opinion on those guys opting out, waiting. Maybe their coaches knew, a week before, but, they still were a part of the team. But it sounded like these guys opted out that day. It was really kind of weird. First time the Holiday Bowl had ever been played in the month of January. And for last Friday was the day that the transfer portal opened up. So guys were opting out. I mean, the first day there were like over 3,700 and something athletes that put their name in the portal. I got news for them. They're all not coming out of the portal. A lot of them, they may not play football again. Maybe they'll go to a lower division of college football. Maybe some of the guys that have eligibility go back play JC, and a year from now, maybe you'll get an opportunity to go back to a Division I school. But not everybody that goes in the portal comes out in all sports, I might add. But anyways, this year, unlike last year and unlike the last few years, these teams really wanted to be here. Okay, really wanted to be here. I mean, Arizona trying to build something over there with Brent Brennan. Rhett Lashley wants to win a national title at SMU. I don't know if he can or not, but he's a good coach. Both teams wanted to be here. The rain subsided until late in the game. The turf, I don't know how well it played, but it looked much better than it did earlier in the year for the Aztecs and for a lot of the soccer games with the Wave and San Diego FC. The crowd, it was over 30,000 fans. It was a boat race early. SMU came out and scored on three plays. They had that 80-yard pass play that got down to the 1 yard line. Tight end ran out of gas, got tackled at the one. They punched it in. They led 24-0 at halftime. But Noah Fafita, the quarterback from Arizona, hell of a player, rallied the Wildcats back. And who knows, they couple of balls bouncing different ways. They could have ended up winning that game late. It could have been another one of those unbelievable finishes at the Holiday Bowl. But SMU ended up winning 24-19. But they had over 30,000. The energy. If you went to the Holiday Bowl, let me know right now. Let me know if you went to the Holiday Bowl, and I'll get you back on here, and we'll get a few more questions in because I thought it was a great game. Um, I took my buddy Brad Sesmat, who we have on from time to time. I sat between Bernie Wilson, who was covering the game for AP, even though he's retired, he still does freelance work for AP, and my buddy Brad Sesmat. Him and his wife came to our house. His wife dropped him off. I drove him down, and we went to the game together. And I took my son-in-law and my 7-year-old grandson. They sat in the stands. Brad and I were in the press box, and it was just a great night. It was a magical night because I love college football. Both bands were amazing. Pregame was outstanding. Halftime was good. That little fireworks display. Just everything about the Holiday Bowl uh, was great for me. And every year, people go, well, the Holiday Bowl, are they going to be able to come back next year? There's no reason they can't come back. I mean, there's enough of money in this community that they can come up with a payout for these teams and get people to come to San Diego. I kind of liked it in January. I really, it was a lot easier for me to get to in January than it is between Christmas and New Year's with all, friends and family. You come here, go there. But I go every year. I just put everything on hold. But I love going to the Holiday Bowl. If you win, hopefully you had a great time, and hopefully you'll go back again next year. But having over 30,000 at Snapdragon, really a nice setting. And I know probably 80% of the crowd was Arizona fans. They went home disappointed. I'm mad on Saturday. There were a lot of people driving out old Highway 8, probably a little disappointed as they were heading back to Tucson. But nonetheless, I thought Mark Neville, Rick Schloss, and the Red Jackets did an incredible job with the Holiday Bowl this year. And if we get any more questions, I'll have Jonathan put those up. Okay, I want to get a little college basketball here for a minute. Oh, let's get to this. I was stuck working a news schedule. I wanted to go to this Holiday Bowl and support. Glad the Mustangs won. Hey, I'll tell you what, SMU's pretty good. I was watching them the other day on basketball. They were playing North Carolina on Saturday, and Rhett Lashley, who, they flew back right after the game. He was at the basketball game when SMU, Andy Enfield, the old SC coach, coaching at SMU his second year, they beat North Carolina. North Carolina's second loss of the year. Yeah, they got beat up actually pretty good. Hubert Davis and the Tar Heels on Saturday, but Rhett Lashley had his son at the game, so he went home probably all fired up after the Holiday Bowl win. Told his kid, "Hey, let's go to the basketball game." And so he went to the basketball game, spent some time with his son. That was good stuff. Like that. All right, let's get to a little Aztec basketball, Triton basketball, and Torero basketball. Aztecs down 9-4, 3-0 in Mountain West Conference. Tomorrow night, Tuesday, 8 o'clock, up the Lawler Event Center in Reno. They take on Nevada. Steve Alford's ball club 11-3, 3-0. Utah State also 3-0 in the Mountain West Conference. How good are the Aztecs? Everybody's asking me. I don't know what to tell you. They're talented, but I don't think they're a very good basketball team right now. I think their two best players, or supposed two best players, aren't playing like the two best players. Magoon Guath got benched the other night for some reason. He played about 19 minutes the other night. I mean, you got a key game against a viable foe, and something went awry, and he had to get benched. And he hadn't played well. I know that he's probably going through a mental thing right now. He had major surgery on that leg, that knee. And having had knee surgery, and I had nowhere near the ability of Magoon Guath. I always tell people I didn't have a credit card leap. I had a business card leap. Luckily, I had a big derriere and I could box guys out so I could become a pretty good rebounder in college. But he's afraid to explode off that leg a lot of times, I think. I don't know if that's true or not. He's had some good games, but he's also had some games where he's been MIA. But the other night he got benched. Big game, and he gets benched in a home game and played 19 minutes. Apparently, he didn't follow some rule, whatever that is. Maybe just showing up on time. That would probably help if that was the case. And Miles Bird is a good player. He's not a superstar. Okay, the guy shoots about 38% from the field. He has a highlight reel here and there with a dunk, or he'll hit a 3-pointer. But he's had more bad games than he's had good games this year. He's averaged about 9.5 a game. And he's one of their top guys. Coach Dutcher continues to play 10 and 11 guys. He played 10 guys the other night. They won the game in triple overtime, 110-107. They blew a 21-point halftime lead. At one point, they had a 24-point lead. They were up 50-29 at halftime. And then Boise State returns the favor, and they outscore the Aztecs 50-29 in the second half. And they were lucky to win. I mean, they were very lucky to win. They hit 2 3-pointers in the final 20 seconds of the first overtime. B.J. Davis hit that second 3-pointer with 0.4 on the clock. They ended up winning in triple overtime. Great win. I don't know how good they are. I really don't know how good they are. And what was kind of amazing, normally they have over 12,000. They had under 11,000 the other night. This team has been hard to watch for me. It's been a hard watch. But Coach Dutcher's playing a lot of guys. A lot of guys aren't logging more than like 20, 22 minutes. Some guys like Reed Dixon Waters there tonight played 45. You got a few guys that are playing over 30, but a lot of guys playing 20, 21 minutes, 22 minutes. McGloth, because he got benched there tonight, played 19. So I think he needs to probably narrow that rotation down. And I know he's trying to keep everybody happy, but what happens? Nobody's happy because they're not getting their minutes. There may be one or two guys that's getting minutes he thinks, but if you're a college basketball player, you want to play 30 minutes a night. You don't want to play 22. I mean, you're playing like half the game. You can't get into a consistent rhythm that way. Brian Dutcher knows that. David Velasquez, the guys on the staff know that. But when you're playing 10 and 11 guys, nobody's normally going to be happy because nobody's getting the minutes that they want. So we'll see where it goes. He played 10 the other night in the triple overtime win, but 9-4 and 3-0 in Mountain West Conference play. I think right now, and I'm not going to get caught up in the NCAA. There's so far to go. But the way it's going, they don't really have a big signature win this year. To me, it looks like they're probably going to have to win the Mountain West Conference title uh, in the tournament. Okay, regular season, I don't think it's going to get them in unless they just ran the table, and I don't see that happen. They got some tough road game. They got a tough road game tomorrow night. Nevada's really good. Nevada is beat UC San Diego when UC San Diego was undefeated. That gave UC San Diego their first loss. UC San Diego, by the way, 12-3, 2-1. They let a game slip away last week, and they were kicking themselves. They got beat by Cal Poly. Now, Cal Poly's not bad. They scored like 89 points against UCLA at Poly Pavilion about 2 weeks ago. They gave up over 100, but they scored 89. They can score the ball. But UC San Diego lost to them 67-65 on New Year's Day, and then they came back on Saturday night and beat a really good Hawaii team. Hawaii had gone 3-0 in conference and had won 7 games in a row. And UC San Diego beat them the other night, 83-73 at Lion Tree Arena to snap their 7-game win streak. UC San Diego pretty good. 12-3, 2-1 in conference. They play on Thursday night against Cal State Fullerton, 7 o'clock at Lion Tree Arena. If you've not been to Lion Tree Arena, you may want to try to come out and check it out. A really fun venue. It's a good enough venue to work out in. The Denver Nuggets, they didn't come this year, but they'd come the prior couple of years to work out at Lion Tree Arena. So nice venue, uptight, close. About 3,000 fans show up. The students will be back this week. I think they got a giveaway on Thursday night as well. So if you want to watch some good college basketball, come on down and see some really nice players there for UC San Diego, a team that went to the NCAA, a team that won 30 games a year ago. Got beat by Michigan by 3 in the NCAA tournament. They had a shot to tie it up at the buzzer and didn't hit it. And then USD, they continue to struggle. They're 6-10, 1-3 in conference. They got boat raced yesterday up at Santa Clara, 98-70. Again, USD 6-10, 1-3. Steve Lavin, I don't know if he's going to make it, folks. I don't know if Coach Lavin, this is his 4th year. Not sure he's going to be able to make it. Not looking good right now, the way they're playing. They beat UC San Diego on a desperation bank shot, but that's and they gave Gonzaga a good run last week. They got beat 99-93. They were down by a bunch and hit a bunch of late threes to make it a game, but they got to start winning some basketball games. You got to win more than you lose. All right, we got any other questions today? We got any other questions? Okay, there it is. Remember that run of the Holiday Bowl games in 1979 to 81. Wow, really great games. Teams from 1978 to 1989. There have been so many great games at the Holiday Bowl. I remember I was telling a story the other night. We're talking about Indiana having such a great year with Kurt Signetti. I remember Lee Corso of ESPN fame. He was the head coach of Indiana one year, and I don't recall what year it was, but they were playing BYU, and BYU had a field goal attempt at the end of the game, and it went wide right. And Lee Corso was the head coach at Indiana. He ran around doing the helicopter. He was going around all over the field, running around because that was the first bowl win ever for the Indiana Hoosiers. They had played in the 1968 Rose Bowl against O.J. Simpson and the Trojans, and they got beat 14-3. But their first bowl game win ever was at the Holiday Bowl, and Lee Corso was the head football coach. So pretty amazing on that. We got anything else? What else we got here? There it is. Big Sam Sanford weighs in. Hey, coach, sure is great to have you back. The Padres sure do seem tied up with money after the Michael King signing. Both the Okamoto and the Imai contracts seem to be pretty affordable, but they didn't do it. I think the Padre core players, Sam, I think are pretty good. It'd be nice to bring in a big bopper, and I mentioned Eugenio Suarez. Now, he may end up back in Seattle. A lot of things are going to start happening now that we've gotten into the month of January. Suarez would be nice. Now, we know there's a lot of swing and miss, but we also know the guy can launch the ball a long, long way. And he's getting up there in years, move him over to first base, let him come in here and do what he does. And he could DH from time to time. If you wanted to put Sheets out there at first base, you could do that. I'd still like to see them get a big bopper at first. If they're not bringing back a Rise, and it doesn't sound like he's coming back. In fact, there have been very little movement on a Rise. There's been talk about maybe the Mets would be interested in a Rise. Not sure where he'd play with the Mets. Not really sure where he'd play with the Mets. Um, but I wouldn't mind seeing a big bopper, but I think we need one more proven starter. Who that is, I don't know. I mean, Framber Valdez is still out there, but man, there's a problem apparently with Valdez. I hear he a little bit of a problem in the clubhouse and maybe not being the best guy in the world. That's why a lot of teams I understand have kind of backed off of him. But you know what? AJ, he might wave that golden wand here before too long. Oh, by the way, how about AJ? Well, what's going on with his contract? Now that we're in January, we need to start talking about that because every day we go by the contract not being extended, we're getting closer to spring training. We heard 2 months ago he was getting a contract extension. There's no contract extension been announced yet, so I don't know what's going on with that. I'm gonna have to put my finger on the pulse and find out and try to figure something out for later in the week. Again, we're going to be back on Wednesday and back on Friday, and we'll certainly try to find something out. That's kind of weird stuff. But Sam, good to hear from you. Hope you and the family had a great holiday season. Okay, what else we got today? Steve Tejas, Coach, what's the latest on Arise? Yeah, Steve, I just mentioned I'd heard the New York Mets, maybe the Washington Nationals. I don't really know what's going on with Arise. There are a lot of guys still out there that don't have a home. I'll try to dig up wherever Arise goes. I hope he plays well. I like him. He's a hardworking guy. He's a good team guy. I wish it would have worked out here for him for a few more years in San Diego, but he doesn't really bring to the table what the Padres need. What the Padres need is a guy that can hit the ball out of the ballpark. That's what they need. And but I like Arise. You know, how would you like to have a bad year and still hit 292? 292 in a full year, that's not bad. But oh man, you had a down year. Well, you know what? There was only one guy in the National League that hit over 300, which is amazing to me. That tells you hitters are screwed up. And the philosophies of baseball are screwed up with the launch angle. I mean, Trey Turner, former Padre farmhand, was the only guy that hit over 300 of qualifying at bats. There's guys that hit over 300 but didn't have enough to qualify. Turner won his second batting title. But Arias had a bad year. He hit 292. I think he finished I know he finished in the top 10. But Steve, that's my take on Luis Arias right now. Hey, what else we got? Got anything else? Okay. Irie, to get a for sure power bat to hit behind Manning would be so clutch. I'd be willing to sacrifice pitching for power because that's been the problem in October. You know what? I'll be honest with you. The Padres have the arms. They could give up a bullpen guy or two. I mean, they got plenty of arms. And AJ has a way to stockpile these arms. So if they ended up trading an arm or two to get a big bat, I'm all for it. And I think he can do it without even hesitation. That's kind of my take on that. But you know what? Every day that goes by, we're going to find out more and more and more what's going on. Okay, we got one more. Okay, that's going to do it. All right, I'd say we had a pretty good first show of 2026. A lot of information out there. We honored the great Jerry Coleman. We gave you the Padre roster, kind of went through their depth chart a little bit, got you updated on the Holiday Bowl and how I felt that went. And of course, we updated you on college basketball. And again, if you would, please subscribe if you haven't. Please like, please share, please tell a friend. And if you feel the gumption, become a Gold Glove member. For $2.99 a month, you help support the channel. For Jonathan Oliveri, Coach John Kentera, I'll rejoin you on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Until then, have a great day and stay dry. Bye-bye.